Hey guys, welcome to today's show. Today I'm delighted that David is joining me from Thailand Legal Protection. David, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Now you're one of the partners, aren't you? The managing partner.
Yes.
Now, the reason we're here today is because there are certain things that are going to happen in your life that are guaranteed. And when you come out here, there are things that may happen when you're out here that you may not think about. And I'm not talking about the girls, I'm not talking about drinking, I'm talking about some of the things that can go wrong in terms of when you die. Now, if you're out here,
Yep.
obviously we could be living out here or we could be a tourist out here. So I guess that makes a difference on to how things are going to pan out. In terms of, let's talk about people that are living here for now.
Right.
What are the common mistakes that you see happen when people come out here that can cause some problems if they don't have a will?
Well, the problem is that if you don't have a will and you don't have any family members, here in Thailand, I mean, they're all overseas. I mean, that can be a real problem.
Okay.
So, because if you have a bank account, let's say you have a bank account here, I mean, where does the money go to?
Yeah, well, that's the question I need you to tell me. Where does it go to?
Yeah, then, you have to appoint an executor, right? So if not one of your family member in, wherever country you're from,
Yeah.
immediate family, when you have to appoint someone in Thailand, let's say you get an attorney here, right? So the attorney will have to get a power of attorney to get an appointed probate administrator here,
Wow.
right? I mean, but if you have a will, everything documented, they're just a lot easier, make things a lot easier.
So if I'm out here and I don't have a will
Yeah.
and I pass away, I mean, obviously my next of kin, my family will be notified abroad. So I'm from England. So let's just say that I passed away and my family were notified, look, sorry, but Trevor's gone.
Yeah.
Are there any obstacles in their way for them to be able to access my funds in like my bank account and my house if I've got stuff in there? Is there a problem ahead for my family? Because for me, I think to myself, well, if I die and I've got a house, I've got money in my bank account, well, then they'll just naturally go to my children.
Right.
If I die, what would happen if I don't actually have a will?
Well, if you don't have a will, then the immediate family from the UK, right, as I said before, they need to get a power of attorney, appoint an attorney here,
Right.
as a probate administrator, okay? You got to go through the court process, right?
Okay.
I'm looking at, 3 to 6 months. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, 3 to 6 months, right? I'm talking about there's no other family member challenging.
Okay.
Right? Because if you don't have a will, right? I mean, some of the family member can challenge the will.
So like
right?
compete against each other.
Exactly.
Say, oh, actually, no, I deserve more because I've done this for him in the past. And
That's right.
wow, that's a worry. And so one of the questions, because a lot of these came from James, and James, if you're watching, thank you very much for putting this in front of me, because I think it's a brilliant topic to discuss, because it's something that we just always overlook until it's too late.
But it's always sensitive, right?
Yeah.
It's a very, especially in Thailand, right? Thai people just don't talk about death.
Yeah.
Wills, right? They always said, oh, we'll just wait, I'm not just Thai people, right? Just general people. They just want to talk about, who wants to talk about death?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have a will.
Exactly.
I don't have a will. And, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, I sent you these questions which we're going to go through.
Yes.
And I'm actually quite worried about some of the answers, because I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, I'm really vulnerable. And, guys, if you're a tourist or you're living here, does it make any difference?
Yeah.
If I was to pass away and I'm just on a tourist visa,
Right.
but most of my money's back in the UK, I guess that doesn't really matter here, does it?
It doesn't really matter, right? Or, you just if you pass away here, you get a death certificate from, your embassy,
Yeah.
right? And they'll issue the death certificate, right?
Right.
And then you send it back home, and then you do whatever you need to do back home.
Okay.
And just the assets that you have here, the bank account,
Right.
the money that you have here.
Well, you mentioned in the earlier question that you said about you got to get a power of attorney. And one of the questions James is, how do we know that we can trust our attorney?
Well, here's the thing, right? Depending on what you want that attorney to do, right? Now, if you have an executor in the UK,
Yeah.
right? And the executor can, give a power of attorney to the attorney here,
Yeah.
right? And then they do what they got to do, right? Because he's still in control, right? He's not the executor. But then someone need to be appointed as a probate administrator, right?
Mm.
So then, can that be a problem? It just depends on how much trust or the executor, that needs to look for that attorney or be comfortable with that attorney.
I'm with you. Yes, I mean, you are opening yourself up a little bit, aren't you? Because unless,
Well, I mean, even executor, right? I mean, you can have your your brother, your sister, your children. I mean, they can cause a problem, So it just, I mean, I'm sure, you can take them to court and replace another one, But
when you say about court, I mean, one of the things that I would like to ask is, in terms of the court procedures, now in the UK or wherever these guys are that are watching, we kind of get an idea as to what to expect in terms of time frame.
Yep.
Is there a particularly longer period of time for the court case if you're living abroad, if your family are abroad, and to come over here and try and take care of the will?
Well, look, I mean, if you have a will, then it's pretty straightforward, because the court basically look at the will and just, okay, this is the executor, where this money goes here, this portion goes here, right? And if there's no challenge on the will, then then it's be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
A minimum, you're looking at about 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah, just wait for the court.
So I'm living here on my own.
Yeah.
And I've got myself a house and everything's okay.
Yeah.
I'm renting a house, but I've got my own property in there.
Yep.
If I pass away, who do you get to take all your belongings? Because obviously they're not going to wait for someone to fly over, and maybe no one can fly over. I mean, how does all your belongings? Where do they go?
Well, depending on I mean, if it's just your clothes and everything else, I mean, if you have a will, right, you can have everything on there, right? Or you can give a power of attorney for someone, locally here, right? But they also got to deal with the, who's going to sell your house, right? Again, then just go back to the executor, right? If you don't have one, if you don't have a will, they go back to your immediate family again. So your immediate family has to appoint one, right?
Right.
To get the probate started, Otherwise, nobody can touch that stuff.
And where would, what would worry me, if I passed away and said to my mum back in England, you got to get a solicitor, find me someone, and, attorney, and take it. She wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Legal protections, right? Your mother can contact us, right? And we can tell her what she needs to do, right? Because obviously, she's got to, give us a power of attorney, give one of the lawyer power of attorney to appoint someone, to be the executor or the probate administrator to deal with all this stuff, right? But the duty of the probate administrator, they just have a duty to, who gets what, money gets in where, right? I mean, everything is documented in the court, So, can you trust that person to deal with this? You just, the immediate family, your mother or whoever, will just need to, pick the right attorney. Right. But with us, we have a network of attorney, experienced, reliable.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to use us. There's other attorney that you can use, right? It's just that, but just have that will written up. It just saves a lot of hassle, a lot of complication on the court.
Well, some of the questions James sent in says, when I die, the money that is in my Thailand bank account, how is it distributed to the people I want to give it to, especially if they're in a foreign country? So I've got money in my bank account. If I die and I say, right, I want X amount to go to my son, X amount to go to my wife or my mum, whatever. Right. How is that money distributed? Who does that?
Well, but again, if you don't have a will, right, or if you have a will in England, we can use that will in England.
Okay. Right? And is that around the country, around the world as well? So Australia, America?
I just need to get it, translated and certified by the Thai embassy.
And how would you get access to that will?
Well, whoever you give that original will to, right? Maybe your executor, maybe your immediate family member. So you just have to have your loved ones hold on to that will if something happened to you.
Right. Okay. Question, how's your attorney notified that you died? So, like, if I die tomorrow, how do you know who to notify? Because if I don't have a piece of paper in my wallet that says, can you give David a call, please, and tell him I'll just drop down dead?
Well, I mean, normally your family member, right, would notify the attorney, who has the original will, right? Right. Or whoever has the original will, But most of the time it's a family member that will notify that attorney. I mean, because as they say, you can be traveling to other country. Yeah. Right? So the family that knows you will notify us. I mean, we wouldn't be able to know when you die.
Yeah, so they've got to notify the person that's responsible for the attorney.
Yeah.
But what if they don't know who I've appointed? So, like, let's say I die and I've got a will, and my will is with you guys.
Yep.
So I'm with Thailand Legal Protection, and everything's there. But I haven't said to me, Mum,
Yeah.
if everything goes wrong and I happen to pass away, by the way, get in touch with David or Peter because they've got my will. How do they find that information out?
Well, that's the thing. You got to document everything. You put something to put in your safe, put it in your mother's house and say, something happened to me. I go into this box and look, and all the information's on there.
Okay.
Contact.
Let's paint a worst case scenario. Now, let's just say that I haven't done it. Let's say I'm with Thailand Legal Protection.
Yeah.
I haven't said to my mum, hey, Mum, this is who you need to contact.
Yep.
And I happen to be involved in an accident, whatever, and I pass away.
Right.
Where does my mum start to even consider finding out who she needs to speak to? And you're sitting there going, well, would you contact my mum because you're on the will, or you're the executor of the will?
Well, I mean, normally you would give your will to, let's say, your mom, right?
Let's say I don't have one.
So let's say if you don't have one, and she knows that you have a property here, you have a bank account, you have a business in Thailand.
Yeah.
Right? So what she would do was just contact one of the lawyer in Thailand.
Anyone?
Right? Anyone, right? Because you have the business and bank account or access here, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that, then we'll be able to do some research and find that out. But I mean, somewhere, something, you got to tell your loved ones, I mean, who you've been talking to, who you've been,
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to let them know, right? Otherwise, nobody knows.
Yeah, well, that's the worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier before we did the video that 20 years of dealing with this situation. What are some of the horror stories that you've had to deal with?
Well, I mean, I got a Thai wife married to a foreigner, right? And she say, well, he told me, he's got some life insurance policy, in America, it's worth $1 million or whatever, right? I said, well, what's the name of the company?
Yeah.
Right? There's thousands of, insurance company. I mean, without that name, right? We there's no way we can find out. And he's a really secretive guy. So then we couldn't get in touch with anybody because she doesn't know anybody. Because she didn't bother to find out when he was alive, right? And he didn't really talk to her about, So she really ended up with nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she just say he's got a life insurance policy, but where?
Yeah.
It's
such a worry because, like, I'm sure guys watching it, like myself included, I think to myself, well, number one, we think we're invincible. We're never going to die. It'll always be, I'll worry about that later when I get old.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, sometimes you don't have to be old before you pass away.
Well, exactly. That's why, we tell our clients, right? Because you can be super healthy, right? You walk down the street, an accident, then what?
Yeah.
Then what happened? So you don't want to procrastinate these things, right? You want to get it done, and you don't have to sit down with the lawyer 5 hours, right? With Thai Legal Protection, you call in, maybe talk to them for 5-10 minutes, get things started. Next week, another 5-10 minutes. By the time 5 hours, you'll be done. Everything will be completed.
Wow.
You know?
That's really important, guys. Like, I'll put the link down below for the Thailand Legal Protection because, you've obviously seen Peter on the channel before, and this is David. These are things, guys, that really and truly speak, we need to be very careful about. We need to make sure we got it into plan because, you might have children and think, okay, I've got my house here and I've got stuff, and, when I die, my kids will be okay. They'll be fine.
This is the problem, right? Because I'm going to say you got 3 kids. I mean, which one, who's going to get what? I mean, if you don't have a will, then they all get it equally.
Right, yes.
See, that's the thing, right? And because you're letting the law or the court decide how they're going to divide this, right? So they're going to divide it by the law.
Right.
Yes. So you might want to give your older son, 50%, but because you don't have a will, so they just have to divide it equally. And something else, right? We have a case where they don't have any kids, right? I think he also got a girlfriend. They're not legally married, right? So all of a sudden, the nephew shows up.
Right.
Right? Because he's there's no parents all die, right? No children. So we got a nephew. So you end up giving the money to the nephew that you haven't seen for 30 years.
Wow.
Then, so
that's right.
Yeah, it's just get the will done. Just it's a must, right? It's like, people, just delay and delay. It's just like, you're supposed to get it done, but you just don't have time. You just delay it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, exercise is good for you, but you just say, I can wait. I'm still healthy. I'm still young.
Well, that's the thing is, like my mum, I remember my mum gave me her will about a year ago.
Yeah.
And she gave it, and I'm like, Mum, I don't want that. I said, look, I don't need that. I don't want it. She's like, no, son, you need this because when it eventually happens, you need to. I'm like, and it's unopened. I haven't touched it. It's completely unopened. But but like you say, when people start saying, oh, here's my will, it's kind of like almost a final document. Say, well, when I die, this is what you're going to get. And like you said about having a nephew creep out from under the floorboards and suddenly, oh, yeah, I'm a nephew. Like, I haven't seen him for 30 years. Now you're chomping away at my money.
Well, yeah, I mean, legally he's entitled to it because you don't have a will.
So a question here from Jay says, if I own a house and I'm living on my own and I die, who is responsible for selling the house and where does the money go to if I don't have a will and I don't have any kids?
Well, again, then you'll be in your immediate family, right? So if your mother's still around, then yes, your mother will have to appoint one, right? I mean, if not, then it'll be your nephew.
Okay, so let's say, I'm an only child, which I am. So let's say my mum, sorry mum, but let's say my mum's already passed away before me. Yeah. I've got my house and I've got a Thai girlfriend. She's not my wife, she's just my girlfriend. Yes. And I pass away. Does she have any legal claim on that?
Well, you know what? We have a case similar to that, right? If depending on how many years you've been living together under Thai law, I mean, if she can show that you guys been living 5 years or 3 years as a husband and wife, right? She can petition the court to trying to be the executor and the beneficiary, right? But I mean, there is nobody challenging it, right? But if someone else come in and challenge it, then she might be out of luck.
So as a girlfriend, not a wife, well, let's say we've been cohabiting for, say, 2 years, but she's not on the rental contract because invariably most rental contracts are in the flang's name. So let's say the contract's in my name. Yeah. I've got myself a girlfriend. We've been living together for a couple of years, but we're not married, nothing like that. She's not on any of the electric, the water, the paper, the bill or the rental agreement, nothing whatsoever. Yeah. And I don't have any children. And my parents have passed away, so I'm an only person. Right. If I die, does she have access to like my bank account or anything like that because she's just my girlfriend, or does she have to have a legal standing as in like she has to be my wife?
No, like I said, as long as she can show proof that, you guys been living together as husband and wife, she can petition the court, and said, I've been living with him, as a husband and wife, and the court will consider that,
So paint a different picture. Let's just say I have got a will, and I say, all right, when I pass away, I want everything to go to my children, but I'm married. Yep. Can my wife appeal against that? In my Thai wife?
Well, if you have a will and you document everything, it's going to be difficult for her to challenge it.
Right, okay.
Right? But I mean, again, we have a case in the U.S. I mean, he was married to her legally. Yeah. Right? He's got kids, so he didn't leave her nothing. But under the state law, she can challenge it and get 30% or something 30% out of it. Yes. But that's in the U.S., right? So, I mean, this is different here.
Yeah, right. Well, a question here from James is, if I'm renting a property, what happens to the remainder of my contract? So if I've just signed a year's lease and 2 months down the road, sadly it happens, there's another 10 months left on my list. What happens about the contract?
Well, under Thai law, you're still obligated to that remaining of the lease, right? Well, I mean, you put a deposit down, so most of the landlords just, forget about it, right? But legally, you're still obligated, the remaining of the lease, and that's why you have an executor, or maybe you're living with a girlfriend. The girlfriend can talk to the landlord and say, okay, well, let me get my stuff out. He passed away. Just, we cannot pay you any rent. So he might just let it slide, right? But legally, you're still liable for it.
Tell you what's frightening this video. I need to get a will. I need to do well. I haven't got one, so I've got Peter will be watching this game. Trevor, I'm coming to see you soon.
Yeah. Look, it's a peace of mind. Once you get it done, like I said, you don't have to do it all in one time, right? In one day. Just do it by phases, right? And then by the time you know it, it'll be done, right? And then always, update the will if you bought another business or have another condo or something, right? Because people tend to just wait until, well, let me pay off this condo before I do a will. Let me have $1 million baht before I put a will together. Yeah. But I mean, that they're just people, So,
wow, just shows how vulnerable we are. That one piece of paper can save your family months and months of turmoil. And at the end of the day, let's face it, there's one thing guaranteed in our life, and that's that we will die eventually. So,
yeah,
as much as it's not a nice thing to think about, it is a reality. And of course, like David says here, if you don't have a will,
yep.
then the loved ones, particularly maybe your parents have passed away if you're that age, but if you've got children, and like you were saying there, you might have one child that you don't really speak to a great deal, your other one's like your best mate and you want him to have everything. But if you haven't got the will, then the other one that you're not so good with can claim half.
Exactly.
And then that will also then cause a feud between the two brothers or your siblings.
Exactly.
Because they're going to say, well, why are you getting that? You've not been in touch with Dad for 30 years. And
exactly. Well, the complication, the family disputes, and it can cause the turmoil for the whole family.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't instruct, the where everything's going to go, right? So they just assume that I'm supposed to get this, I'm supposed to get the house, I'm supposed to get the car, right? Because you haven't given any instructions.
In terms of cost, how much does the will cost on average?
I would say between 15,000 baht, maybe 10,000 baht to 25, 30,000 baht.
Depending on how complex it is.
Exactly. But if you sign up for Thai legal protections, I mean, you get a will, you get your last will and testament.
Right. That's included in your membership.
Right. That's under the membership.
So, the membership's $7.95.
Exactly.
Well, I'm no mathematician. I'm not a mathematician, but I've just worked out that's a hell of a bargain.
No brainer. Right?
That's a hell of a bargain.
Yes. And don't forget, we only talk about the last will and testament, right? We didn't talk about the living will. You know the difference between the living will and the last will?
No idea.
Well, here's the thing, right? The living will, right? Let me give you an example. One of my business partner passed away. He didn't have a living will, or he didn't have a last will either, but he was in a coma, right? He had a stroke.
Right.
He had a coma, right? So, the girlfriend has to check him in the hospital, right? For immediately, and he didn't have any insurance. His bank account was only in his name, so you have no access to the money. So, this hospital in Thailand, you have to put a deposit before, you can take me in the hospital.
Yeah.
So she had to go find the money, borrow the money, right? And, he's still living. He's not dead yet.
Right.
So you cannot use a last will. This is only a living will. So if you have a living will, it's just to make the medical decision. So you really make this medical decision, before this happened, just in case, when you become incapacitated, right?
Yeah.
So then who can you talk to? Yeah. I mean, I remember my uncle, he was, he had a stroke because he got up and he fell, right? And he was in the hospital for 3 or 4 months, just opening his eye, but he can't talk, he can't move, right? I mean, if he's got $1 million under his bed, he couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Right? So the living will is just as important as the last will. If you're an expat living here. And the doctor always said that, I mean, even though he wake up, he may not wake up. But they kept him in the hospital and ICU for 2.5 months. So cost for that is $2.5 million baht, right? So who's responsible for that?
Yeah.
The girlfriend, whoever checked him in, right? But if you have your living will, right? If you have one doctor opinion said, no, he's gone, or second opinion, then you can just, pull the life support or whatever, feeding tube and all that stuff, So, that's why I encourage, just sign up, call in, a lawyer can explain everything to you, what you need. That's why they call it estate planning, right? And sometimes people just think that, oh, I got $1 million life insurance. Okay, well, do you know that your life insurance will pay you after you die? I mean, they can say, well, you may falsifying information on.
I was just going to say, we know insurance companies are renowned for finding small little details that they can wriggle away from, right. And that's when we need people like yourself that can help us do it.
And with the 20 years experience, we came across all of this, right? Mm-hmm. So we know how to fight with the insurance company, and get them to pay. I mean, not every case, but it just depends.
Well, you're in a lot better position with someone like yourself to fight your case and trying to do it as a family member without an idea about what goes on, particularly here in Thailand.
Exactly.
Particularly here in Thailand.
It just, unfortunately, it's, foreigner coming here, they just need that advice. They need the consultation so they understand, I mean, even Thai people, they don't have a will. So they just deal with it when time comes. Yeah. I mean, you see people, brothers and sisters killing each other just because the father didn't do the right thing.
Yeah. Frightening. David, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. So,
okay.
Guys, listen, I know this is a bit of a morbid video in terms of the topic that we're discussing, but at the end of the day, I think it's a really, really important video as well. If you're coming out on holiday, we've spoken to Peter in the past about the Thailand legal protection of the 795 baht insurance, which is worth its weight in gold. It really is. I know many people that have taken it out and have also had to use the service, and the service has been fantastic. But as David said there, if you come over here and you take out the policy, it's 795 baht a month, guys, and you can get the opportunity to put yourself a living will and a will. And it just takes all of the last 25 minutes we've been talking out of the way, out of the problem. You don't have to worry about it. Your family will be taken care of as we asked. Everything that you wanted is in place. So guys, please, I'll put a link in the description of the video down below. Get in touch. What's it going to cost you? An email, just say, look, this is my situation. What do you advise? And, just do that, guys. And I'm going to be doing it. Peter, you've got my word. I'm going to be in touch with you because David's just put the frighteners up me. And I think, yeah, actually, I need to do this because I haven't done it. I just think
it was actually a reality. We're all going to face it. Well, sooner or later. Right?
Yeah. And just one last one. So if I die down soy 6, are you able to take that out of my will and just say, no, it was in the part sunbathing? Can we exclude that part of the information? But guys, all jokes aside, please get in touch with David, get in touch with Peter, and explore these avenues. They're really, really important. I'm myself going to do the same now because I haven't done that in the past, so I will do that. And that's it for today's video. If you've got any more questions, guys, I'll put both Peter and David's email down in the description of the video. Get in touch, guys. Get in touch. All the information is there. It will cost you nothing to ask a simple email, but it may cost you a fortune if you don't ask. And if you don't ask and you do pass away, it's too late by then, guys. It's too late.
That's right.
All right, that's it from me. That's it from David. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please, as always, remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Have a look on our TikTok. TikTok's all about daytime activity, beaches, restaurants, hotels. Have a look on Instagram. It's all about the nightlife. Join us here on Discord. Thailand Legal Protection have a room in Discord. You can even connect with them on there. It's a very, very busy room. Lots of questions being asked. So again, jump into our Discord. There's a link in the description. Get yourself over there, guys. Ask these questions. They're important. If you don't ask, you don't know. And if you do pass away, it'll be too late. Then you're leaving yourself in a world of problems and a lot of turmoil ahead. And James, I just want to say thank you very much to you for prompting this video. Great questions you asked me there, my man. And hopefully we've got some answers. But like I said to you, Jay, get in touch with these guys. They're the experts. All right, that's it from me. That's it from David. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And please, as always, wherever you're in the world, stay safe.